Before anything, stop everything for a second. If you're a Warriors fan, you know exactly the pain we've had in recent times. Uncertainty, decisions that divide the fans, and the feeling that the franchise's future was at a standstill, with no clear direction. And that is precisely why what has just been announced now changes everything. It's not just another name, it's not just another movement. It is a decision that answers questions, points a path, and could be the missing piece to put the Warriors back where they should always be. Stay with me until the end, because I'm going to explain who he is, why this hiring happened, and what it really means for the present and future of the Golden State. And before continuing, let me ask you something quick and direct. If you follow the Warriors, if you suffer, vibrate, and live every decision of this franchise, this channel is made for you. So leave a like now, because this really helps the video reach more fans like us. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, and activate the bell so you don't miss any important updates. Especially in moments like this, when decisions are made quickly and change everything. Do it now and stay with me in the video, because from here we get into the details that really explain the impact of this hiring and why it could be a game changer for the Golden State. Before anything else, I need you to take this moment with the seriousness it deserves. Because what started as a simple behind-the-scenes buzz, one of those things that comes and goes quickly in the NBA, evolved into something much more concrete, much deeper, and above all, much more revealing about what the Golden State Warriors are willing to do from now on. It is no exaggeration to say that we are facing one of the boldest moves ever considered by the franchise since the beginning of the Stephen Curry era. In recent days, while a large part of the fans were still trying to understand the team's ups and downs on the court, something big was being discussed away from the cameras, inside closed rooms, in conversations that don't usually leak out by chance. When information begins to converge from different reliable sources, the signal is clear. It is no longer empty speculation. There is intention, there is planning, and there is a very well-defined target. What is at stake here is not just a possible signing or an impact trade. It's a change of route. It's a decision that could completely redefine the direction of the franchise for the next 5, maybe 7 years. And when you look at the center of this story, one name stands out above all others, not only because of his talent, but because of the weight he carries throughout the entire league. Giannis Antetokounmpo. It is important to make something very clear right now. Teams don't start discussing extreme scenarios, putting virtually the entire roster and future on the table, if they don't believe a rare opportunity is presenting itself. The Warriors are not acting out of desperation, is acting by reading context. Stephen Curry is still a player capable of leading a team to the title, but everyone knows that this window is not infinite. Every season counts. Every decision weighs. When reports surfaced that in a possible package for Giannis, only one name would be considered untouchable, that says a lot. It's not a phrase thrown to the wind. It's an internal message that ends up reaching the rest of the league. The Golden State is willing to go to the limit. This completely changes the way other executives view the team in any major negotiation. Champion franchises understand a harsh but inevitable truth. Opportunities of this size don't come around often. A player of Giannis's caliber, still at his physical peak, with a history of MVP, dominant defender, and immediate impact on both sides of the court, is not someone who is easily found on the market. When there is the slightest chance of access to this type of talent, teams with a winning structure feel almost an obligation to explore all possible paths. And that's exactly what happened when reports surfaced that the Milwaukee Bucks began listening to pitches. Listening does not mean accepting anything, nor does it mean that an exchange will happen tomorrow, but listening means that previously closed doors are now ajar, and in the NBA, this detail changes everything. The moment a door opens, even if just a little, executives start moving, doing calculations, simulating scenarios, and measuring risks. The Golden State Warriors, it seems, did not stand still. On the contrary, he entered these conversations head-on, studied possibilities, evaluated contracts, financial projections, fit on the court, and long-term impact. This can't be done in one day. It is accumulated work, the result of a clear strategic reading of the moment of the franchise. One of the Warriors' biggest differences in this race is its flexibility. Few teams in the league can match young players, relevant contracts, and a considerable volume of future draft picks. The Golden State can do it. This does not guarantee success, but it puts the team in a privileged position at the negotiating table. When it comes to raising salaries, this factor becomes decisive. Salary cap math does not forgive improvisation. That's why some names inevitably enter the conversation. Not out of emotional preference, but out of structural necessity. Large contracts need to be sent back. Bucks, in turn, needs to evaluate whether these contracts help immediately, whether they can be transformed into other assets, or whether they are part of a larger restructuring plan. Every detail counts. Each clause weighs. At the same time, the Warriors need to deal with a difficult decision. How far is it worth going? Young people like Jonathan Kuminga represent more than numbers on spreadsheets. They represent years of development, a bet on potential, hope for continuity. Other young players have already proven that they can contribute at a high level, even without stardom. Giving up on this is not simple. It is a deep cut in the idea of a future built with patience. But it is precisely here that philosophy clashes with reality. Teams that win titles, especially in short windows, almost always make tough choices. Choices that, at the moment, generate discomfort, division of opinion, and even revolt. But history shows something consistent. Elite talent changes everything. Giannis changes everything. Imagining Giannis sharing the court with Stephen Curry is not just an exercise in excitement. It's a fit that makes sense from a technical point of view. Curry stretches defenses like few others in history, forces appointments to go up, creates spaces that almost no one else can create. Giannis, on the other hand, is an unstoppable force attacking the rim. He collapses defenses, attracts help, generates fouls, and dominates the box. Trying to contain both at the same time is a tactical nightmare. It's not about improving a detail here or there. It is about creating a structure that is practically impossible to defend in long playoff series. This is why Warriors are willing to consider extreme moves. It's not about emotion. It's about competitive advantage. Of course, the cost is high, emotionally and financially. Historic names from the franchise could end up involved. Figures who helped build the team's winning identity. It hurts. For the fans, for the locker room, for the collective memory. But the league doesn't run on nostalgia. Works with present impact. And there is still competition. Other teams are also paying attention, each with their weapons, their attractions, their proposals. Big market, promising young players, pick packages, financial relief. Bucks will choose what makes the most sense for their internal reality, not what generates the most headlines. That's why nothing is guaranteed. No one seriously claims that the exchange will happen for sure. But there is something that cannot be ignored. The Golden State Warriors are fully engaged, not watching from afar. He is participating, building scenarios, making it clear to the league that he is willing to act. For fans, this in itself is a strong message, shows that the franchise does not accept simply watching time pass, recognizes that the Curry era can still yield more, recognizes that rare opportunities require courage. Even if, in the end, the deal doesn't materialize, the attitude says a lot about the team's mentality. Now, the inevitable question comes to you. Is it worth sacrificing youth, picks, and part of the future for a real chance at the title now? Is it worth betting everything on a historic pair, knowing that the price will come later? Or is the safest path still to try to balance present and future, even at the risk of never finding an opportunity of this size again? This is the discussion that defines great franchises. And that is exactly why this subject cannot be treated superficially. Here, the idea is not to chase rumors, but to understand what is behind the decisions, intentions, and signals sent behind the scenes. Because, at the end of the day, it's not just about a possible exchange. It's about identity, ambition, and how much the Warriors are willing to risk to remain relevant at the top of the NBA. Now I want to hear from you. How far would you go on this bet? Would you put everything on the table for Giannis, or do you prefer to preserve what can still be built? Comments, because this debate is just beginning, which is exactly why this moment cannot be treated as just another piece of mid-season news. What's happening now reveals the Golden's level of ambition State Warriors and makes it clear that the franchise does not intend to watch time pass as the window with Stephen Curry slowly closes. This is about courage, about taking huge risks and understanding that opportunities like this simply don't come around twice. Whether this movement will turn into an exchange or not, no one can say for sure. But one thing has already become evident. The Warriors are willing to change their structures, challenge comfort, and bet big to return to the center of the league. And when a champion franchise thinks like this, the impact goes far beyond a headline. This changes the internal climate, changes the perception of rivals, and rekindles something that every fan immediately recognizes, the real feeling that something big could be about to happen. Now, if you want to stay on top of everything, understand each update, each behind the scenes, and each development of this story without missing absolutely anything, there is only one path. In the pinned comment, I left the playlist Golden State Warriors News today, where all the most important news, in-depth analyses, and real-time updates on what really matters for the future of the franchise are gathered. Click there, save this playlist, and follow it in order because this story is far from over. What comes next could define the Warriors' next years, and you don't want to find out after everyone already knows.